There's one part of our garden we've been purposely ignoring for 3 years. Every time we film, we steer the camera away. Today, we're letting you see it. So let me first tell you what our plan was for this space here. Our idea was we wanted to create a wetland. We wanted to have a flowing stream and a pond and a ton of planting around it. And we have it positioned so it would look great right out of the living room window. We drew up a bunch of different plans, but we kind of mapped out on the ground where we wanted to be. And we actually went out, we rented a sod cutter and cleared the grass from this spot. We started doing the digging out where the pond would be, all the different elevations, carved out where the flower bed was. So we went to the garden center, bought a bunch of plants. It was actually really exciting because we got home and we were able to basically have an instant flower bed like that afternoon. And we felt like we were really on our way towards completing the vision that we had for this spot. And we were excited to be working on this project, but every time we came out, we wanted to tweak the size or the shape or the different depths and elevations in the pond area, for example. And the longer it took, then the more that weeds started growing up in the places that we had already cleared, and it just got to be too much. So it got to the point where we didn't want to show it. When we were recording videos, we purposefully avoided this spot, or we just brushed past it as quickly as we could. When people came over, we would either clear cut down all the weeds so it started to look like, hey, this might be a flower bed someday or something like that. Or we let everything grow up through here like it is, so it kind of hides. It hides where we started to clear stuff and where we dug down holes and things like that. And so it started to feel like this was proof that we didn't know what we were doing, or we wouldn't be able to do this. And so, quite honestly, we just avoided it. The more that we let the space go, the more we started to learn about it. You know, we hadn't spent enough time to really figure out where the sunlight came across this part of the garden. And so we found that the plants that we had put there wanted a lot more sun than this space actually was going to be able to give it. When we rented the sod cutter, we thought it was great. It made quick work of pulling up a lot of sod, not just from this part of the garden, but in some of the other areas where we wanted to put flower beds as well. But the problem with that was that we actually cleared far more than we had time to then work on. So then a lot of the work that we had done to remove sod just became overgrown with weeds and things, and we had to basically recut it when we eventually got around to those parts again. In our last place that we lived, we had a pond that was like basically the size of a bucket. So jumping up to something as ambitious as we were thinking about here, we weren't ready to jump into that much of a project. We needed this space here to kind of help us figure that out. We actually then built some ponds on a smaller scale in other places in our garden and used that as the opportunity to kind of figure out how we could put in a pond and what goes into constructing it and making it a thriving little ecosystem. And I think it was really good for us to go through that learning process before trying to tackle something so big when we didn't quite have all the experience or the knowledge I think that we would have then benefited from otherwise. So it started to kind of teach us what our limits were and what some of our priorities were going to be as well. You know, we had to kind of learn about these things, I think, in order to appreciate both what this space could be, but also what some of our other goals and other parts of the garden were going to be. When we let this go, we then noticed some other things starting to happen. Other plants started growing up, and not just what we might consider as unsightly weeds that had to be taken care of, but instead we started to see wildflowers and ferns. Then we started to see bees and the hummingbirds visiting this spot as well. These were things that we didn't plant and we didn't plan to be in this space. They just found their own way. There's something special and beautiful about that just all on its own. So this isn't a failed project. It turned out to be a pause that we didn't know we needed. It turned it out to be a teaching tool. And so maybe it's not about fixing this. Maybe it's more about noticing what's already here. So we might come back to this project, we might not. But we're learning that even the forgotten corners have something to say. If you have a spot in your garden that you've been avoiding, trust me, you are not alone. I'd love to hear about it. And you also don't have to feel like you need to fix that space in order to find peace. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all happy gardening.